Broadcasting live from SETI Alpha 6 in the Andromeda Galaxy, this is Mr. C.
Well, happy Tuesday to you out there. I am still floating over my grandson Brayton's rugby victory. In fact, I have just a little report the coach had up on Facebook beside a picture of the team. He asked them at halftime, they were down 2 tries. I think it was 18-6. They were losing to St. Mary's. And Brayton's coach asked them to give every ounce of energy they had in the second half. And they didn't allow the other team to score, and they ended up winning. I think it was 26-18. So anyway, Brayton on that photo is on the left side as you look at it. He's number 2. So he's the second one in. He's got his hand up. He's got his little silly rugby hat on that probably doesn't protect anything, but they wear them anyway. Wait a minute, Mr. C, are you saying that because you're a concerned grandpa? You got that right. So anyway, he's a tough rugby player. So, well, anyway, let's move on. Move on, Mr. C. He's moving on to baseball right now, for which I'm really grateful, because it's a lot harder to be injured in baseball than rugby. So, anyway, well, I hear really good reports from Mr. Gilbert about all the classes and the way you're doing your do-nows. Most of you are coming right in, getting after your do-nows. You're taking out your lesson planner. You're putting your homework in your lesson planner. You're taking out your journal. You've been filling in your journals. So it's all good. So keep doing that. Now today you need a red pen. I don't know if I had that up on the board. A red pen and a highlighter. So if you'll have those both out. And then I just wanted to remind you about the extra credit opportunities that are on the table. So it's a figure of speech, of course, so that are available to you. You've got the 2 planet pairs. In the morning, you've got Venus, like a mirror, super bright. And then you've got Mars, orangish because of the iron combining with oxygen. Iron oxide in the soil had to have water too. And then in the evening, in the south, high in the south, you've got the 2 big planets, one following the other, Jupiter leading and then followed by Saturn. Look for the Galilean moon, see if you can see any. So the planet pairs reach worth 10 points, the Galilean moons, I'll throw in additional points if you actually write down that you see some. Then you have Stellarium as a 10-point possibility. So they're all there. An additional announcement now, bring your textbook every day. Mr. Gilbert reminded you at the door to bring your textbook every day. And if you'll open it up to page 4. So 7th graders will get to it in just a little bit on page 4. Now, if you'll take your verse sheet out really quick, I'll take my time. While I'm talking, you take out your verse sheet. I'm telling you right off the bat now, this week's test, I'm only going to ask you to write John 1, 1-3. Your verse sheet's coming out. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. Through him all things were made, and without him nothing was made that has been made. So I'm going to have you write that, and then I'm going to have you write Psalm 139, 13, and 14. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully, that's awesomely, and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, That would be me. And my soul knows it very well. In other words, David was saying, I got it. I get this. You have made me in an incredible way. Now, David didn't know about DNA, but you do and I do. So here's what I want you to put above Psalm 139 if you haven't already. And you could remember David, and that's another D. So the additional D's are, God designed me by giving me my DNA. God designed me by giving me my DNA. So he used it to make you look the way you look, and to give you your personality, and to give you your characteristics. So I'll ask you to write both of those on Friday. So review them. That's part of your homework. Review them, please. Now, review the scientific method. The scientific method steps and scientific method questions are going to be on Friday's test as well. So review them. Hey, what do you think about this scientific method problem? Let's say, I'll describe it for you. Let's say you were going to find out, you wanted to find out which of a bunch of liquids has the greatest density. Now, density means how tight the atoms are packed. So, the way you're going to do it is you're going to get a container and you're going to put the same amount of different liquids in that container. And then you're going to weigh it with the same balance. And then you're going to put the same amount of other liquids into that container after you remove the first one you worked with and the second and third and so on. So same amount of liquid in the same container using the same balance, and then you're going to write down what each liquid weighed. It'll be different because their densities are different. So, and the reason they're going to weigh different amounts because the ones that have the highest density have more atoms packed in there. So they have more matter, more atoms packed into the same space. So of course they'd weigh more. So and then you're going to write down each one, what its weight was. And before you even got started, you're going to make a scientific guess. And then you're going to find out which one actually was the densest. So what step would it be of the scientific method where you have a guess as to which one you think will weigh the most? Hypothesis, of course. What do you call any difference in the experiment? You've got the balance, you've got the container, you've got the different liquids. So what do you call all those differences? They're variables, from the verb to vary or be different. So what's the step where you keep all of the variables or differences the same? That's the variables controlled. So what do you call a step where you have just one of the variables that you're testing? In this case, it would be different liquids. What do you call that? The one variable that's not controlled. So that's what that is. Then you write down the different weights. So in kind of a diary. Oh yeah, that would be the data. So diary data, that's the data step. And then you get an answer. Conclusion. Usually get more than one answers. In this case, you'd have more than one. The most dense, the less dense, and those in between. So anyway, by the way, the greatest, see you, Scratch. Adios. See you later. Thank you. Hit the road. Thanks. Scratch was interested in finding out. You can hang over there and I'll tell you which liquid was the densest. What do you think it would be? Any ideas? Well, you know the liquid that's put in thermometers? So what is it called? That would be mercury. It's very heavy. It looks silverish. It's It's kind of silver. So I hope to have a photo up so you can see Mercury. So anyway, scientific method, review it. So, hey, I've got something really cool to share with you. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about the asteroid, big chunk of space rock, asteroid, that just missed the Earth on August 20th? Mr. C, tell me about it. Okay. So, anyway, it was the closest approach ever recorded of an asteroid. How close did it come to the Earth? To be specific, it was 1,830 miles from the Earth. So, and it was traveling at 27,600 miles an hour. Ooh, good thing it didn't smack us. Yeah, good thing it didn't. Now, what would have happened, Mr. C, if it had run into the Earth? Well, it mostly would have burned up in the atmosphere. It was traveling so fast, there would be so much friction, and therefore so much heat, it would have just vaporized it. We probably would have seen some meteors out of the deal, streaks of light as it broke up. There might have been some of it left over. By the way, you didn't tell us how big it was. It was about the size of a truck, kind of an average truck that we drive. Okay, so it's a pretty big chunk. Not as big as some go. There was one back in 2003 that we think was 66 feet across or something. Quite a bit bigger than a truck, kind of in diameter or length or width, whatever. Anyway, this one crashed into the atmosphere above Russia, and it caused explosions that actually took out thousands and thousands of windows. A few injuries, but that was about it. But it was scarier, just because a lot bigger than this particular one. Anyway, it missed us. Well, it would have been cool to see it, because it would have been a massive meteor like I saw back in when I was out at Mount Herman Camp back in, what was it, 1970 in the summer. So it was a fireball, massive light up of the atmosphere. That both these asteroids would have done that. Okay, we've got to hustle. We've got to go over the answers on pages 6 and 7. That's why you need a red pen. So if you haven't got it yet, dig one out really quick. 6 and 7. So I'm going to tell you about your homework in just a little bit. But first, I'd like to read just the first page, page 4. Okay? You've got this Indian astronomer. When was this? Was it 476? Yep, 476 AD, about 1,520 years ago, maybe even a little more than that. So, yeah, about 1,550 years ago. This guy's name is Aryabhata, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And here's what he noticed. Pretty amazing. Did he have a telescope? Nope, they weren't invented for another 1,000 years. So what he came up with was just using his eyeballs, pretty good scientific instrument, eyeballs, and the brain, pretty good scientific instrument. It's all he used, and just his observation skills. So in looking at the night sky, here's what he hypothesized. He hypothesized that the stars and the planets appear to move from east to west. And he said that was because the Earth was spinning or rotating west to east. Was he right? Yeah, he was right. What a guy. What a hypothesis. So, smart guy. Here's the last thing it said. He made all these hypotheses just using his eyes and his mind. The first telescopes wouldn't come along for another 1,000 years. Wow. Now on page 4, I'd like you to write a hypothesis. beside number 1. It says, what did Aryabhata, what did he hypothesize about the motion of the earth? Oh, we've already done that. So, all right. So we are done with that. Now here's your homework before we consider a few other things. Okay. So for you guys, you got LS 1 and 2. LS stands for lesson summary. Lesson summary 1 and 2. Now you should have got those at the door as you were coming in. They are bars of gold, those lesson summaries. Put them somewhere where there's absolutely no way you're going to lose them. What do we need them for? Well, you're going to use them for homework on a regular basis. So, and they're going to be your best friends when it comes time to take the semester exam in December. Mr. C, are you going to build your study guide around those lesson summaries? Yes, I am. So don't lose them. That's going to be your study guide, among some other things as well. So anyway, here's your homework. Read and highlight LS1. So the key terms from pages 5 and 6, here's what you're going to do. From pages 5 and 6, you were supposed to read in your book last night. You are going to look at those terms. The moon. So, and you're going to check out on your lesson summary. You ought to have the moon there somewhere. Highlight it on your lesson summary. Read it. Read your lesson summary. Okay? And think about, and here's what you're going to study too. You're going to review this. The moon is a satellite. So what is a satellite? Should be on your lesson summary. And then planets on your lesson summary. They give on your lesson summary a definition of a planet. So find it on your lesson summary, planet, highlight it. Then your book mentions meteors and comets. Do the same thing. Meteors and comets. Highlight them. What are they? On your lesson summary. Same thing with stars. What are they? Highlight them on your lesson summary. So you've got on your lesson summary, planets highlighted, the moon highlighted, satellite highlighted, meteors and comets highlighted, stars highlighted. And then over on page 6 and 7, you read about constellations. So on your study guide, on your lesson summary, it's a study guide. So highlight constellations and what they are. Then you had to fill in on the apply it. So if you didn't have it down, use your red pen. I ask you to take out a red pen. Use your red pen and fill in from left to right the names of the constellations that they showed you. And you were supposed to use the constellation chart, the star chart, to come up with these. The first one is a swan. That's Cygnus. Kind of looks like a swan. Cygnus. Write it in red pen if you didn't have it. Cygnus, the swan. Then the second one over, you've got a bear. It's Ursa Major. Ursa's bear. Major's like big bear. The Big Bear constellation. We know it as the Big Dipper, by the way. And then the third one over is, I wonder what that would be. It looks like a scorpion. That would be Scorpio. Scorpio. Yep. So write it in red pen if you didn't have it. Cygnus, Ursa Major, left to right. Scorpius, Scorpio. And then you've got Cassiopeia. Looks like a W when we look at it. It looks like a W. Are we going to look for some of these in the night sky eventually? Yes. I'm going to give you a clue where they're located, and we'll look for them. Okay? So anyway, so your homework is to look at those terms that were in your book on those pages you had to read, highlight them, and read about them on your lesson summary, and then review them, part of the review process. Okay? So, homework. I'd like you to add this to LS1. Please add this. Do it quickly. It is the planet poem or the planet song. So down below on LS1, write this in. My very educated mother just served us 9 pizzas. So you're going to write down my very educated mother just served us 9 pizzas. It's an acronym. Each word stands for a planet from the closest to the sun out. So you're writing it down. My for Mercury, planet Mercury, closest to the sun. Very for Venus. Educated Earth. So my Mercury, here's the sun, my Mercury, very Venus, educated Earth. Mother for the orange planet, Mars. Just, the largest planet, Jupiter, just Jupiter. Served, Saturn, beside it. That's why they're close to each other. And remember that conjunction that's coming up. I don't want to get off on that. Serve, Saturn. Us, Uranus. 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 9, Neptune. 9 for Neptune. And then pizza for Pluto. Hey, wait a minute, Mr. C. Pluto, I heard it's not a planet anymore. It's still a planet. Most of my life, it was an official planet. I'll tell you more about it when we study it, but now it's classified as a dwarf planet. And there are other dwarf planets as well, but I still include it in the My Very Educated poem or song. My very educated mother just served us 9 pizza crusts. My Mercury, very Venus, educated Earth, Mother Mars, just Jupiter, serve Saturn, us, Uranus, 9 Neptune, pizza Pluto. Okay. Review that as well. Is that on the test on Friday? Yes. Okay. Hey, don't forget the contest where I use my boring title, Science Activities. If I choose your name that you turn in, then I'm going to give you 3 Jolly Ranchers, a homework pass, and I'm going to throw in a can of Coke, either Diet Coke or regular Coke. Really? Really. So if I choose you, you're the winner. That's what you get. Okay, the activities in the back, and we're going to start doing them today. It's going to be exciting. Okay, Mr. Gilbert is going to give you your class number. It's either going to be an odd or even number. Odd numbers today are going to get up and you're going to have 8 minutes to do 2 questions at one of the cubbies in the back. Here are the rules one more time. Here are the rules. You get 8 minutes. That's it. Get it done quickly and then take your seat and work on your homework. So the even group, you'll be working on your homework at your seat. So the rules are, again, just 2 of the questions. Just do the answers. You don't have to write the questions down. Okay? You've got to label which one it was. Was it one of the A's, one of the B's, one of the C's, one of the D's, or one of the WC's? So only 3 people per A, B, C, D, or WC section. Just 3 and you've got a social distance. You must. You can't share answers with anybody. Work on your own. Okay, follow these rules if you want to keep doing it every week. Touch nothing. Don't touch anything. Just write in your journal. Okay? And then respect the opportunity so you'll be able to keep doing it. Okay? No goofing around. No horseplay. Okay? Treat it seriously. Mr. Gilbert is going to time you. He's going to give you 8 minutes. When he says go, you're not going to run. You're going to walk quickly to the cubby of your choice. A, B, C, D, or WC. Only 3 people in a cubby section. So spread out. You'll get to do all the different sections eventually. Okay? So, again, do a nice job in using your time well. So at the end of 8 minutes, he's going to say, stop, take your seats. Then it's work on your homework time. So again, those with odd numbers, you're going to go to the back of the room, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. And then evens tomorrow, you get the opportunity. So hope you find it interesting. Hope you're curious about it. I turn it over to Mr. Gilbert, and he'll get working with you.